To add the recipes component, I'll go to the navigation, to the terminal again, excuse me, and I will create a new component. So NGGZ to create a new component, which I will call recipes. Now this component will grow later on when we implement routing and so on. But for now, I'll use this component in the new folder, get rid of the test file though, get rid of the CSS file and uncheck that so that I don't get asked if I want to delete it here too. And in my recipes component HTML file, I'll have a row, which is a Bootstrap class, and then the Bootstrap class to make this 5 columns wide, for example. Here I want to have the list of my recipes, and next to it in the next column, which should be 7 columns wide here, I'll have my loaded recipe. So if I click on a recipe, this should appear in this column, whereas the first column will hold all my recipes, or a list of my recipes here. So here I will have my recipe list, here are the recipe details, and first I want to implement this. So let's say recipe list and recipe detail. And to implement recipes component, I'll go to my recipe book component, which is my root component again, import it from the recipes folder, and I can directly import from that folder. I could also import from folder/recipes component, but I don't need that second part because in the index.ts file in the recipes folder, I'm exporting recipes component. And this is a setup you'll learn in the Angular CLI module, where Angular CLI enforces a good practice Angular 2 implemented or introduced, that you should use those barrels here, which means you have central files organizing all your exports within a folder so that all other files outside of that folder have an easy way of importing them without having to write 10 different imports. So with that, back in my recipe book component, I'm of course not importing header component, but recipes component from that folder, from that index.ts file here. And I want to make that available here too, recipes component. And in the HTML file here, I'll create a container, Bootstrap class, and I'll load my recipes component I just created here. So with that, if I save it, you see that now we got the 2-column layout I was talking about with recipe list and recipe detail. Great. So we're already seeing that this application gets some shape. Time to actually implement some recipes here and to output a nice looking list.